What's up, everybody? It's week 1 NFL. Real Deal Fantasy HQ is here live on YouTube. It's your boy at Delray Boston, Sean Weymouth, and at Matek Lee. I always mispronounce that, Lee. How do you pronounce that?
We're going to do Maddish like a radish. That's the easiest way to do it.
Maddish like a radish. All right, man. So we are going to be talking about DFS right now. We're going to be talking about week 1 DFS. We're going to show off a couple lineups and maybe do a little competition between the two of us. So here's all we got to do is get things going with some takes from Lee. You obviously checked out if you haven't checked out the article yet or whatever, the article's live on realdealfantasyhq.com. Search for week 1 DFS. It's pretty easy to find. Or if you follow me or Lee on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, the link is out there. So go ahead and read that article when you get a chance. But right now, Lee, who are you liking best? Who are you looking at? Who are you trying to squeeze into your lineups everywhere you go today?
Well, we talked about him on our last podcast as being probably one of the best plays of the day. Raheem Mostert against the Detroit Lions. I expect him to get a ton of touches against a very weak defense. He's somebody I am putting into every single one of my lineups today. I fully anticipate him to enter 20, maybe 25-point territory, which gets you great return on value for him at 5,800. So for he's the absolute best play of all of the players of any single position. Outside of that, in your article, you touched upon game stacking. Great day to game stack, as I feel like there's going to be a ton of teams that really show out offensively. Ones that come to mind, the Atlanta Falcons today. You touched on the Tennessee Titans, another team that I fully anticipate to just feed everybody with a lot of mouths to feed. There's a lot of different values that you can grab there. We talked about the values and how you can build a lineup to get those studs in. And this is a way that you're going to be able to stack Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, and even throw Ryan Tannehill in there, with a couple of those extra values that we talked about in the last show. So really, my lineup is filled with game stacks this week, as I'm really attacking that Philly Atlanta game, mostly on the Atlanta side. I'm also stacking pretty hard on the Jacksonville Houston game in some of my other lineups, to whereas I'm stacking Trevor Lawrence and James Robinson together, as I feel like they're going to have a ton of exposure today. I'm touching Brandon Cooks in that game to get some correlation on the other side, as I don't think Jacksonville's defense is that great either. So yeah, game stacking is going to be the theory, if you would, of the day for me.
Yeah, that's interesting about that Jacksonville Houston game. I don't know what to expect. When I think about the historicals on Tyrod Taylor, yes. And what he's been able to do in this league, or lack thereof, I guess you could say. And even seeing him in the preseason, struggling to complete even 2 passes in his time on the field. I don't know what to expect from the Houston Texans. I certainly have zero idea what to expect from Trevor Lawrence. His first real NFL game. But I find it really interesting because I think that not a lot of people want to touch it. You know what I mean? Like they want to go after more proven commodities, and I think that's a way you could get a little bit different. One of the guys that I'm really, really high on today is Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position. I think that you're going to have a shootout between the Eagles and the Falcons. And I do believe that even though we're not 100% sure where all the targets are going to go for the Eagles, I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be massively a big piece of their success from his legs.
Sure,
and
running,
so
absolutely.
I look at it like if you have competent receivers out there I'm not necessarily needing to stack Jalen with one of them, but what I am looking to do is stack Jalen with Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage,
Sure. The correlation in the game.
Falcons pass catchers. I'm
Right.
not really into the running games on this slate. I think that nobody's really talking about Miles Sanders. In this game, he's kind of a forgotten guy, but you know what? There's a reason for why Miles Sanders is probably a forgotten guy in this. I think that this is going to be a very pass-heavy shootout type of experience. I want to get the most out of that, and I love Jalen Hurts with a stack with Ridley and or Gage or Kyle Pitts. So, what are you thinking, man? How you feeling about the Eagles and the Falcons?
I obviously I'm all over that game as well, as I think there's going to be a ton of points scored in that game. My hang up on Jalen Hurts is his ceiling when it comes to throwing. To me, he did not show a lot of accuracy last year. So that I feel like I talked about turnover potential last time. I feel like he has high turnover potential in this game. He's going to be handling the ball a lot. Maybe he puts the ball on the ground. That's my fear when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Obviously, he has the upside because he's going to be the most used. He's going to touch the ball so much. He's probably going to. He might have 15 carries this game, in which Miles Sanders might only have 15 carries. So I can see why everyone's fading Miles Sanders, considering he's not going to touch the ball as much on the ground, especially near the goal line. I'd have to imagine Jalen Hurts is going to be pretty important during, in the goal line, more so than Miles Sanders. I love the pass catchers from Atlanta in this game. Just the same as you said, they're going to score a lot on the Atlanta side or the Philly side. They're going to have to score a lot on the Atlanta side. This is my game that I think is going to score the most points of the entire week. So I'm all over it. I agree with you there.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some lineups here. Earlier this week, we talked about challenging each other on for who's going to have the better lineup.
Yes, we did.
And I think that the only way to really do that is to enter ourselves into the $5, $50 million maker on draft.
The $5 millionaire maker. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah.
So I'm going to, when I went in earlier today, I said to myself, what would be great is if I bought Lee his entry into this $5 contest.
Oh, well.
It's because I'm a generous guy, really. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to first, I'm going to enter Lee in here. I'm going to enter again. Enter for $5. Yep, I'm sure. DraftKings. Okay. All right. So, Lee, tell me about who you're going to put into your lineup, and what are you looking to do here?
Yeah. So, like I talked about, I'm all over this Atlanta Philly game. So I'm starting at quarterback with Matt Ryan.
Okay.
At 6,000, I think he's a great value. I'm going to stack him on the wide receiver side with Russell Gage. Again, another value at 5,300, allowing me to play some of the higher end people.
Yeah.
In that game as well, I'm also going to take Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
At tight end. And then my running backs, I'm going to take Raheem Mostert, as I couldn't talk him up enough. Taking James Robinson to get a little bit of exposure against Houston. Brandon Cooks on the flip side to get some correlation in that Houston game. Finally, in my flex, we're doing Justin Jefferson. And then for the defense, we're taking the Vikings against Cincinnati.
Okay. All right. So we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here, unfortunately, but I've taken notes of yours. So that I like your lineup a lot. I think it's balanced. I think that you're attacking the right games. I think you're coming in where you need to be. I just think I'm going to win. And I know it sounds crazy just to be that confident, but I think I'm just going to win.
I mean, you wouldn't be doing this otherwise, right?
Well, I mean, in theory, yeah, but I mean, I could probably be, I could probably be looking elsewhere. For me, and I really wish that we could get this on the screen, but unfortunately, technical difficulties behind it. So,
Yeah.
Here's what I'm doing. I'm full stacking the Chiefs. I talked about it in our
Yes.
article today on Real Deal Fantasy HQ, our DFS article. I am going Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, wide receiver Tyreek Hill, tight end Travis Kelce. It's a full stack for the Chiefs. I think that
expensive.
A lot of ways, yes, it's very expensive. Mahomes, Kelce are the two top in their
position
players. Right. Tyreek Hill is, I believe, number 2. But when I look at this slate, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are trying to chase a lot of the value, and they're going to be squeezing in a lot of the same players. I think Dalvin Cook's going to be extremely popular. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be extremely popular. If you read the article today on RealDealFantasyHQ.com, you actually saw where we were able to build a Christian McCaffrey lineup with Calvin Ridley, with Alvin Kamara, using that value. And I think that's where a lot of people are going to go. So in this way, I want to go after raw points. I don't think there's going to be any higher point total than what Patrick Mahomes and his Chiefs put up against the Browns. They were embarrassed in the Super Bowl. They are coming in here ready to make a statement. So again, I'm going quarterback Patrick Mahomes, running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, wide receiver Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce at tight end as my start. And I think there's a lot of people that would probably just stack Mahomes and Hill or Mahomes and Kelce. Right. Certainly nobody's putting Mahomes and Edwards-Helaire in there. I really think this is going to help me stand out. I'm with you, though. My second running back is Raheem Mostert. I don't think there's any question that guy's going to run all over the Detroit Lions. And I think he's a fantastic play at 5,800 on DraftKings. Then I did put in my value, but I'm trying to follow the chalk, and I'm also trying to stay away from the chalk. So the first chalk piece I have in here is Michael Pittman.
Okay.
He is probably going to be one of the more higher owned wide receivers on the slate. He's 4,100 on DraftKings. Opportunity is massive for Pittman in this game, and he is. I think he's a fantastic play. T.Y. Hilton obviously not on the field. We don't know what Carson Wentz is going to look like, but I think Michael Pittman's a great play. He is going to be very chalky, but that's okay because, as I said, I think the rest of my lineup is going to help balance that chalk out with the contrarian full Chief stack. My next wide receiver is Jalen Waddle. Talked about him in the article today. Jalen Waddle without Will Fuller there, who's on suspension. I think you're going to see Waddle running a lot of deep routes for Tua against the Patriots. I like that play. You don't need a lot to pay his $39 to $100 salary off. And lastly, I'm going 2 tight ends. Another guy I spoke about in the article, Tyler Kroft. The Jets are in rebuilding mode. I think they're going to be throwing a lot. Tyler Kroft only caught both of the touchdowns in the last preseason game. He's clearly going to be a big piece of that wheel. I will take a shot at him at $2,600. And finally, I'm going Jaguars against the Houston Texans. I don't think either of these teams are good defensively, but if I have to go with one, I'm going with the one that doesn't have Tyrod Taylor. So that is my lineup there. We will plug our 2 lineups into DraftKings, and then we will come back middle of the week next week and see who won. And I feel good about my lineup. I know you feel good about yours.
I feel really good.
So, I don't know if we have any questions or anything like that in the chat, but if we do or don't, I think this is now your time. Like, I need to know from you, who are you not looking at today in this DFS slate? Who are you trying to avoid where possible, and why?
I'm trying to avoid some of these wide receivers that are pretty popular, like Darnell Mooney. is really, really popular out there, and I think he's going to fall very flat. The running back situations are going to be atrocious. I think avoid Baltimore entirely. I know it's going to be very popular to pick Tyson Williams, thinking he's going to be cheap. He's going to get a cheap touchdown here. I just don't see it in the cards. I see them leaning entirely on Lamar Jackson. So I'm probably going to avoid everybody in that game outside of Lamar Jackson. Some other players I'm trying to avoid. I'm avoiding most of the players on Pittsburgh. I think Buffalo is going to run away with this game. I think realistically, you're not going to get any return on value on any of the Pittsburgh pass catchers. They're all kind of priced around that same, the same amount in that kind of like 5,000 to 6,000 range. I'm avoiding all of Cincinnati's offense, Joe Mixon included. I know Joe Mixon's a very popular pick. I don't think that they are going to score more than 10 points in this game. I think Joe Burrow is going to be running for his life. I'm avoiding that entire team. I'm avoiding Carson Wentz all season. I know, I know he's got high upside. He absolutely does, going back with Frank Wright. But I just saw a guy who likes to hold on to the ball too long and make mistakes. So he is somebody I'm avoiding all season. If you hear me say play Carson Wentz, I have been possessed by a demon.
Nice. Good to know. Good to know. It's interesting you said Carson Wentz because it makes me think of the Eagles. And as much as I like Jalen Hurts, the spot that I'm staying away from is the tight ends of the Eagles, Dallas Goddard and Zach Ertz. I think that going into this season with Zach Ertz potentially moving on, Dallas Goddard got a lot of really preseason, early season buzz. But now that Zach Ertz is firmly back with the team, I'm not convinced that this is going to be the Dallas Goddard show anymore. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a split. And even if it's, 5 targets that go to Zach Ertz, versus 10 targets that would have gone to Dallas Goddard. I just don't want to. I think I need to see it before I play it. And so
I honestly think Philly, if they are going to play the style of football I think they're going to play, you're going to see a ton of 2 tight end, maybe even 3 tight end sets. To whereas there's going to be a bunch of opportunities for those guys to go out and run routes, but they're going to be blocking a lot. They're going to be blocking a ton. So I'm with you on that. I'm avoiding all the Eagles pass catchers, as I talked about them earlier.
Yeah. I also, as much as I'm a massive New England Patriots fan, go Pats. I am not playing a single Patriot in DFS, and I'll explain to you why. No Nelson Aguilar, right? First of all, so we know it's going to be the Jacoby Myers show. We also have Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith both there and healthy, and Mac Jones making his real NFL debut today. I think Damian Harris is a fine play if you want to go that way. I just don't want to touch it. It's another wait and see. I need to see what the New England Patriots are about and what they're going to do before I invest them on them in DFS. Outside of Jalen Waddle too, only because his price tag is so cheap and his opportunity cost is so huge. I don't really like the Miami Dolphins either. I think the Patriots are not being really respected for having the defense that they have. You have to keep in mind last season's defense was a shell because most
so many players coming back.
Most of the starters were opted out.
Yeah.
Now that the full front seven is going to be back, I don't know how Myles Gaskin gets there for you. I'm very worried about Tua himself. And and so I'll take a stab on a dart throw with Jalen Waddle just to kind of make the lineup work. But outside of that, I'm staying away from Miami too.
The only New England pass catcher I feel like I would take a stab on this week might be Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne, really?
Just filling into that role. I think he could catch a touchdown today.
Okay. Yeah, he's a fast guy.
Yep.
A couple other things that I want to note too. I'm with everybody who loves Marquise Callaway. We talked about it in the article today on realdealfantasy.com. But I am staying away. He is extremely popular. He's only $3,400 on DraftKings. He is going to act as the number one receiving option for Jameis Winston. And I feel like I see, Alexander Madison late in the season coming all over again. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a bust. Green Bay's defense is no joke. Jair Alexander is expected to cover him. Not that I'm really afraid of wide receiver and cornerback matchups all the time, but I'd certainly feel better about it if it was Michael Thomas going up against Jair Alexander and not Marquise Callaway. But he's going to be very popular. And the pivot that we pointed out today in DraftKings, in RealDealFantasy.com on DraftKings, exact same price, Gabriel Davis of the Buffalo Bills. Now the number 3 behind Diggs and Manny Sanders. Certainly was a great addition to that squad last season. He's fully entrenched in the game plan, and exact same price as Marquise Callaway, and literally a fraction of the ownership that Marquise Callaway is getting.
Absolutely. Another thing, Marquise Callaway is going to get a ton of targets. There's no doubt about that. I think they're going to lean heavily on Alvin Kamara this game. I don't think Jameis is going to have that great of a game. I kind of see Green Bay running away with this one. But yet Callaway is going to have a high ownership. Probably no other pass catchers, even in that offense you want, outside of, I guess, Kamara. I think Deontay Harris is the only other one that comes to mind, but he's another guy who makes his plays downfield. So not a real big possession receiver that jumps out on the slate for New Orleans. So I'm going to avoid that till I see what that offense looks like.
Yeah, and I think too, when you are looking at this slate, and I'm kicking myself that we're having these technical issues, because I wanted to talk about lineup construction, just touch on it a little bit. So I guess I got to verbalize this, but in the article today on Real Deal Fantasy, RealDealFantasyHQ.com, our DFS take, one of the guys I highlighted was Christian McCaffrey. Going up against the Jets. It's a Sam Darnold revenge game. Christian McCaffrey return game. Everything is just lining up for a massive Christian McCaffrey day. But Christian McCaffrey is the most expensive running back on the slate.
Yep.
And you have it kind of something going back to what we had talked about in our do's and don'ts. Don't live in a bubble here. Everybody sees that Christian McCaffrey is going to be a fantastic play today, and he's the most expensive player on the slate. So if they want to play Christian McCaffrey, the thing you have to keep in mind is, where else are they going to go, right? Because I did on FanDuel. You play Christian McCaffrey, you're left with $6,200 in salary. And if you just look up the $6,200 quarterback, it's Case Keenum. Obviously, nobody's going after Case Keenum, right? So they're gonna try and figure out the different pieces to kind of make that work. And guys like Marquise Callaway, Michael Pittman, that kind of chalk is going to be just in every lineup that Christian McCaffrey's in. So then that way the salaries of players come down, the salary goes up. You have to think about that this way. The way I built that lineup with Christian McCaffrey, I started with using the defense. If you're at $6,200, the most expensive defense, or probably best defense, is the San Francisco 49ers, and they're $5,000. Just by clicking that button, you now raised your average player cost up. Right. And then we keep going, and we try and find value differently. I double stack 2 tight ends that are extremely low owned and no one's looking at. Right. And then I game stacked in the article. I game stacked the Houston and
Jacksonville game.
With Trevor Lawrence, Laviska Shenault, Brandon Cooks. That allowed me enough revenue to now surround Christian McCaffrey with Alvin Kamara and Calvin Ridley. And so when you're going, what I want to make the point on was, when you're going after these high-priced players, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, guys that are in that $8,000 to $10,000 range, and you're clicking that button, you have to in your head say, there's probably a million other people who are playing this guy. And when they did, what did they do to make the rest of their lineup work? And more than likely than not, they're going after the cheapest things they could find, which in this case, most likely are Marquise Callaway, Michael Pittman, a handful of other guys that are extremely popular in that under 4K range. And then they built from there. Where if you can go a little bit deeper in your thinking and say, if I have this much, I could start building my team back up from the ground up. And I called it in the article, making your money back, right? But it's really saving up. So then when you can finish your lineup, you can finish way stronger than you probably were. And you're going to be a lot different, more different than a lot of other people.
See, and that's where most of the values, and I mean, the big values that you're finding are going to be in that wide receiver position. So there's so many third receivers, that are out there that you can find a value on. You can get that are 2% owned, maybe under 1% owned. That you're going to curve as opposed to going with the chalk of Callaway or Pittman or some of those other guys. We talked about Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne's like 4,000. He's going to be probably less than 1% owned. Deontay Harris is probably going to be less than 1% owned. But those guys are going to get targets out there, and if they hit, then you're going to be different. And that's how you climb the leaderboards. So for me, looking at those values outside of what everybody else is talking about, and we talked about doing your research, we know that Nelson Aguilar's out. What does that mean? That means other people are probably going to get targets in a game where, maybe they're going to run the ball a lot. Maybe Mac Jones throws the ball 20 times, but he's still throwing the ball 20 times. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that doing your research is the best thing, and there's no better place to do your research today. You got about an hour and a half to kick off. Head to realdealfantasy.com, HQ.com. Actually, in the notes here on this video, you can find the link to our DFS, our weekly DFS picks, stacks, and dart throws article. It'll come out every Sunday morning of the NFL season. Lee and I will be doing a lot of videos this year. I do apologize to anyone who watched this or will watch this in the future, and I do apologize to Lee. Some technical difficulties happened here. Did not get to do everything that we wanted to do, but what I'm going to do is put together Lee and I in my lineups in the Millie Maker contest in DraftKings. Well, we'll put it up on Twitter and on Instagram so everybody can see them. And then Lee, I don't know, I'm just going to call this on the fly, but what do you think about maybe doing a Monday Night Football pregame show kind of like this? So you think you might be there?
I'm definitely available. We could definitely do that. I would love to. Same sort of thing. Even if you want to do a showdown lineup for the day, I think it'd be a real great idea. Well, thank you for the millionaire. Don't let me miss that. Thank you for that entry. But I think we should also create a side league that we can have. Maybe eventually we can make it for money. So that maybe we can get some of the other people that we engage with on Twitter and on here. To jump in and see if you can do better than we can, see and have some fun with it this season.
Yeah, I'd like to say fat chance, but I can't. No, I'd love to do the league. I do think that we got to get more than 2 people watching this to get the league going.
That would help.
I'm with you. So you all 2 of you tell your friends and have them tell their friends and tell their neighbors. The Real Deal Fantasy DFS crew is for real. Check us out online, realdealfantasyhq.com. Again, the link to our article is right here in the show notes. And Lee, we will do a Monday Night Football pregame show on Monday. We will unveil who won this weekend. If either of us cashed, it will be a miracle. But who won out of us 2, which is going to be a nice sense of pride. And we'll create a new showdown lineup. When you see this show on Twitter, and you click on it and you watch it, tweet either me or Lee. Tweet us your lineups from this weekend. Tweet us on Monday about your showdown lineups, and we'll be happy to give you a little bit of lineup review. So, Lee, anything else before we call it a day here and get ready for week 1? I got to build some lineups myself. I got about 150 to do. So
I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go put in these lineups now. Now that the inactives are starting to come out. Yeah, man. Don't forget about the regular fantasy lineups that you have out there. Let's go make some money. Yeah, man. Let's have a great first week.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much for everybody who watched this live and who's going to watch this in the future. Sean Weymouth, Delray, Boston. Madish, like a radish. Last name first, Lee. It's realdealfantasyhq.com. Check us out today on with the DFS article online, and we'll see you on Monday night before Monday Night Football. Good luck in your contests.
Make that money.